which way to go, and they
You're
might
running
be to the
full
top side.
speed,
Apple
but
is
the
now at the
markets
volume weighted
are
average
faster.
price. I haven't looked at Microsoft today, but it has
Quasar
been
Markets Live
taking a
brings the
beating. I
world's
know it
top
had its 50th
financial minds to
anniversary
you.
there
Everything
over the
you need to
weekend,
know in
releasing
one
that new
place.
Copilot. But again,
Learn
if
from
you go
elite
through all of
educators
the
and
Mag
gain a
7
competitive
names,
edge,
the price action prints
leveling
are
the
extremely
playing field
identical.
for
So
you.
we'll actually go to the underlying here. So that's
Join the
Tesla.
conversation.
We'll pull up
Quasar
on the
Markets
5-minute,
Live.
guys, so you can see forming that this downside, those constructing those lower highs. But then we got this nice definitive base right here. We go to the likes of Amazon, identical price action here, and the same thing with Google as well too, guys. So when everything is kind of correlating like that, just wait for the volume to step in and lead you in the direction that it's going to go. I've seen multiple stocks, but like all of the Mag 7 with the kind of the similarity price action is very intriguing to me. So I'll be patient, wait for it to step in. It has now drastically fall off. That is good for a decay in volatility. So if you're writing some calls at the peak here in the VIX, you're doing pretty good because it is slowly decaying here, Sharif.
Yeah, man. It's no good.
No.
All right, we're back into MKDW on the long. I didn't get my most ideal price, full disclosure, 97s. We've already wet the beak on the move above $1. I've put my stop below 90 pennies. Let's see if this one wants to hold. I mean, it is technically putting in lower highs, so a flat bottom break could be in the works. And what we're talking about, a flat bottom break, typically what we see is lower highs with a same distinct low. That 90 penny area doesn't have to be an exact price. It has to be a general area where it keeps bouncing off. I'll submit to you guys that's in the low 90s. So we're getting lower highs right now. Let's see if this one wants to do what we're predicting. I'm still short OKLO. We've got multiple beak wetters here. It's not as weak as I thought it would be because there was an obvious level of technical resistance in and around this area. We're positive on it. We did get the addition. I did add a little bit into this. It's got a wider spread at times. Right now, it's respectable. It's 2 penny spread, not hard to deal with, but sometimes it opens up 6 and 7 pennies, and that is a bit of a problem for me because I don't like wider spreads, unlike the woman at the big desk who thrives on the wider spreads. There I am talking about Dara LePage. I'm also wanting to talk about ARTV because this one is losing it super quick right now. This one did pop up into 495, and quick as you like, we dropped down into 370, a predictable area though. I wouldn't have picked it up there, just to full disclosure, because it would have been south of VWAP. VWAP right now is at 420, but there is a level of previous area of resistance, that top end of the range over here on ARTV at around 3 high 60s, 3 low 70s. This one comes into 372 and then pops back up into about $4. Let's see if it can get above the volume weighted average price. I won't be taking it long unless it does do that. All right, we're getting the prints here on OKLO. Not bad look, not a bad look. Still definitely waiting for some lower prints over here. We've got 35s. We just got a print at 17s. Now we're waiting in the low teens and in the single digits. OKLO, it's up big. It's up 12% on a day where the overall market is down big. So it's definitely a counter trend trade right now, but it is coming into a technical level that I like. And so as we discussed today, in the lesson, this is a scalp trade. I'm not going to be looking to holding this all day. Bang. Again, we take out more there. Now we're waiting in the single digits. OKLO, Joseph, dropping off that 2250.
Good look there. So you can see that we are rejecting this trend line here on the cues. So that's why I just took a little short. If we break through it, then I'll just get out of the trade. No worries about that. But you can see the consistent constructing of lower highs. And that's for short. That's what you want to see, right? So we'll be patient. Hopefully we can get to the lower day. That'll put us around 38.50. We're going to start really small. But if we squeeze through that, I'm long TSL and TQQ. So kind of, I wouldn't necessarily hedge against myself, but something along those lines. Again, we break through it, we break lower, that's going to be a positive sign. We'll continuously add to this position and get out if it decides it wants to break to the top side. But let's go Tesla and TQQQ. All right, guys. Yeah, if there's anything you want us to go over in the chat, put it in there. We got 6,000 of us watching, 6,100 to be exact, Sharif. So make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe. And if there's any names that you want to go over or any options talk, feel free to let me know and put it in the chat, and I will take a look at that. That being said, What is the options market telling us today, Sharif, and where are the possible ranges that we might be trading within? So those are the 1 days. Wow, this is very interesting stuff for what I'm seeing from an open interest standpoint.
Tell us.
Not necessarily. I would see a lot more OI, Sharif. To be honest, the volume is there, but it's the amount of contracts that are remaining open is drastically lower than usual here. So people closing and getting out of positions seem to be the narrative. I don't know. Okay, we'll throw it on me there. We'll throw it on me there. So essentially, what I'm getting at is, even though we have heightened volume, people are closing what positions they've had currently open from previous cycles. That is not a good sign whatsoever. We want to see that open interest continuously increase, and that's not what we're getting here on the Qs and or in the SPY. I'm going to look for the highest level possible to say, hey, this might be our weekly range, but it's so hard to tell because of the volatility that has stepped in the market. So what we'll do is we'll go to this Friday's expiration cycle to see what we can get. So that will put us at the 9th here. Okay, so, or no, 10th, sorry. And guys, I'm not seeing anything. The range is so vast now that I can't find anything where it's like 10,000, 20,000 open contracts. I'm literally seeing it in the hundreds, and that's not a positive sign.
That's not no good.
No.
Yeah, well, it's kind of the way that cookie crumbles there, baby.
Yeah.
All right, we got another beak wetter there on MKDW as it zigs and zags with that $1 area. It's above $1 now, but as you can see, when it gets into that dollar, it has a propensity for the spread to open up. And that's unusual because it's $1. So that typically the spreads are super tight on these cheaper stocks, but that's showing you a little bit of a tug of war happening. Again, look at this. 1 on the bid, 102 on the ask, losing it again. So we just got the fill there at 105 as it had a quick price spike. We've got a couple of more beak wetters left on this bad boy. So let's go ahead and set up maybe one at 107. Let's set up there, but it does feel like it's still being kept down. What's keeping me involved in this MKDW trade is the respect that it has or it's showing for the 10 exponential moving average on the 5. This is kind of what you'll see. This is kind of what I'm seeing, excuse me. This is the green line, that's the 10 exponential. And as you can see, all the closing prints as well as the wicks seem to be bouncing off that level. So whatever algo's trading this is obviously using the 10 exponential, or that's my view of things. The volume weighted average price, excuse me, at about 85 pennies. What I was saying about this one earlier was I was concerned that we could get a flat bottom break. That usually happens when we start seeing a pattern that we know as a descending wedge. Essentially, it's a triangle with lower highs and a flat bottom. So if you take this area as your area crest, well, that's one area high. Then you're looking at this area high, a little bit lower than its predecessor, and another little bit lower than its predecessor over here. So we're getting these flat bottom, these lower highs with that 90-ish, 91, 92 pennies acting as a general area of support. So typically what ends up happening is that this one flat bottom breaks. It's not a hard and fast rule, but it is something to be aware of there. So keeping an eye out on that. Let's have a look. I think I just got a print on something else over here. It's OKLO because, OKLO, we're printing, man. We're printing on OKLO. It's all the way down into 22s. We had 35s. We just got the beak wet there right at 22 or a little bit above, 2202s. How many outs do we have on this one? We've got one more out on OKLO. I've already moved down my stop from the prior area to high to my entry because I've taken out the majority of the position. If you're wondering why the hell I'm shorting OKLO, and specifically what somebody asked me there in the chat, thank you for bringing this up. I forget who you are. Hey, Sharif, I noticed you shorted OKLO above VWAP. Oh? Well, that's a great question because I always champion do not short above VWAP, but that's one big caveat is that's for small cap gappers. I don't mind shorting Apple above VWAP. I don't mind shorting NVIDIA above VWAP. It's got to be a good technical level, and I'll submit to you, Joseph, that this was a technical level that I like. Okay. This was once, twice, and then OB thrice. Here's the deal, though. This looks like it could be a flat top break, Joseph. The reason is it's the exact opposite of that MKDW. Whereas we were getting lower highs with a flat bottom on MKDW, we're getting higher lows and a flat top on OKLO. In other words, I won't overstay my welcome. Maybe I'll be done this trade by the time we're done happening now. And Neil's lesson of the day.
Bang.
Let's take a look here at this market. S&P 500, these lower highs here on the 15-minute chart. Now, if you're wondering why all of this volatility, this drop to the downside, violent push to the upside, and drop back to the downside, basically what happened was at around, I guess, 10 a.m. today, we did have reports coming through. White House economic advisor Kevin Hassett had said that Donald Trump was considering a 90-day pause for tariffs for countries that were not China. Then we had initially CNBC reporting that, to their knowledge, no one in the White House had heard of this. White House then coming up themselves saying this is quote unquote fake news. But we did have some actual tariff updates from Donald Trump himself on Truth Social. He says that if China does not get rid of their 34% retaliatory tariffs, the U.S. will be initiating 50% tariffs on China effective tomorrow. So China has about a day to get that together and figure that out. There are some movers here in other sectors. Xenon here, XENE. This one, about 70 million share float, not necessarily a super small cap, trading around $30. On Friday morning, they announced they're going to be showcasing their long-term results for one of their treatment data at this AAN 2025. That event started yesterday or Saturday, and it goes until Wednesday. So keep an eye here at XENE, moving with a little bit of volatility. JNVR, as mentioned earlier, moving a little bit as well. Then there's Tesla here, bit of a flat bottom break formation forming for TSLA. Still pretty weak after noted Tesla and tech bull Dan Ives actually cut his forecast for the stock on Wedbush, going from a $550 price target to $315. And then we have Amazon, AMZN, by far here the strongest of these Mag 7 names, up about 1%, but still pushing to the downside, looking kind of similar to Tesla and to the futures. Let's see what unfolds for the rest of the day. But before we send you back to the Bash Brothers, we have to see what Neil's doing with his lesson of the day. Take it away, Neil.
Well, you see something new every single day in the market to a certain extent, maybe not completely new. It's always a different, same rules, different story every day. But every now and then, you might flat out see something that, well, to my memory, I don't remember seeing. And that was, we talked about volatility recently. It's in the market. For us, we can look at UVXY, you can look at the VIX, whatever it might be. But today, something unique happened. You were able to look at something which you use potentially as a leading indicator that halted down. So obviously, in the moment, as the story was coming through, or at least the rumor was coming through of the pause on tariffs, you saw UVXY halted down. And you would say, how do you take advantage of that? Obviously, I haven't seen it halt down. I didn't catch it right away. Usually, this is not something you would expect to see have happen. But if you look at the void that this caused right at that bottom, about 10, 12, and then you look over just a couple of notable names at that exact same time, as this was going, you know what, out of all hell, you actually had a breakout. So remember, a correlation, stock prices go up when volatility goes down and vice versa. So that halt down means that you're having capitulation in the VIX. And at that moment, that's where you had the second leg to the upside, breaking things out of the top. NVIDIA, maybe not the cleanest one, but certainly it showed dip support going into the high of the day because the halt happens actually as it's pulling back in. Another place where you could have looked, of course, and this is actually the more clean one. And again, you're breaking out here, but you take out the pre-market high of the day on that halt. So because it's a volatility halt, the VIX is going to stay closed for a little bit here, and there's that pause. That gives you that extra bit of time or room for a quick little pop trade. It's not like you're looking to hold it necessarily. You don't have to hold it past